Marilyn, and
And I'm Elle. Nice to
Al.
meet you all. Well, you all know me.
And nice to meet you all. So we doing this collab with Al because Al is an expert in hair and beauty. And I run my Instagram is Koi Koi London.
Yeah.
And I also have the hair braiding school. And we also have a Facebook page called group called Afro Hair Matters. So the reason for this video today is to discuss a topic which is a key topic into the subject of hair. It's what is hair. We are putting together some key information because we are looking at the science of Afro hair. And Elle has a lot of transferable skills from her previous experience in hair and beauty. And we are going to be picking on her brain today as we talk about what is
Yeah.
hair. So, for today, we are going to look at things like the structure, the core structure. And I'm going to ask, so I'm going to ask Al some questions about
Right.
the core structure of hair. So we're looking at the core structure of hair. Would you be able to tell us what that is all about?
So the structure of hair. So hair is made up of a protein called keratin,
Mm-hmm.
and basically that forms up all three layers of your hair. So you've got the cuticle, you've got the cortex, and then you've got the medulla. The cuticle is the outer layer of the hair.
Mm-hmm.
The cortex is the the middle layer, and then the medulla is the center layer, the inner layer, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're going to talk about the structure of hair
Mm-hmm.
and what each of these three layers do,
Mm-hmm.
we'll start off with the cuticle. The
Yes.
cuticle, it's formed of like transparent scales.
Mm-hmm.
They're transparent. They have no color to them, which
Mm-hmm.
is very interesting, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it lays on the hair like this.
Mm-hmm.
So when you look at an image of a hair strand, you will
Mm-hmm.
see there's the scales on the hair. And then inside is the cortex.
Mm-hmm.
The cortex is what's responsible for your hair strength, your hair's elasticity, and the color of your hair.
Mm-hmm.
So that's basically what will happen if you are coloring your hair, lightening it, darkening it, relaxing it, perming it, straightening it, washing it. Inside the cortex is basically the most important part of your hair. And then the medulla it's like air pockets, but there's not too much function in terms of anything that you can do to the medulla. So these are the three layers of hair.
Right.
Right.
Thank you for that. And so, would you be able to sort of go a bit deeper into the cuticle is the outer layer, right? The
Yes.
cuticle is the outer layer, as you said.
Yeah.
So, what is the function? Like, what do we need to know? Like, someone who just knows hair is hair, right? Someone who wants
Mm.
to know like the science of hair. You've mentioned the cuticle, the cortex, and the medulla.
Yeah.
So from just an everyday thing, what is it we need to remember about the cuticle? And what is it we shouldn't forget? Why is it
Right.
so important? And how does that help us to manage our afro hair, knowing about the cuticle specifically?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So in terms of if we are talking about afro hair or hair in general, the
Okay.
cuticle is to protect your hair. It
Mm-hmm.
forms hard scales all over the hair shaft to protect your hair.
Mm-hmm.
So when we're talking about cuticle, that's when we would talk about porosity of hair, whether
Mm-hmm.
your cuticles, each scale is laid more flat towards the shaft, towards the ends, like downwards, or is it more spiking up like this? And that's when you would know what it is that you need to do. That's what the cuticle is responsible for protecting your hair strands.
Right.
and protecting the cortex,
Okay. The cortex, which is the second layer.
the second layer.
Yeah.
Yes.
So what is that all about? The cortex.
So the cortex, it's got a lot of things. So it's made of fibers and it's like a wool, right?
Okay.
So it's responsible for your texture, the
Mm-hmm.
strength, the elasticity, and the color, right? So there are many bonds inside the cortex,
Mm-hmm.
like hydrogen bonds and sulfide bonds.
Mm-hmm.
And these are basically what you manipulate in terms of styling your hair. If you want to style your hair or wash your hair, you will be manipulating the hydrogen bonds, breaking them.
Right. That's
And
hydrogen.
if you want, yeah, if you want to do any chemical treatment, it is the disulfide bonds you will be manipulating. The only thing with the cortex of the hair is when it is moved about, basically, you can there's a lot of pollution that goes into the hair as well
Mm-hmm.
in the cortex. So that will have to be taken out too. So the cortex is the most important part of your hair,
Okay.
right?
Right. So that's the second layer.
Yeah.
And the medulla?
Medulla literally has not much function at all. So
Really?
it's just like a spongy area. It contains air pockets right in the center of your hair strand. So there's not much function. Nothing goes in there much.
Mm-hmm.
Possibly maybe pollution. I'm not too sure, but from what I know, there's nothing that can really. There is no function of the medulla that much. No.
Can we
Yeah.
talk about the follicle?
Hmm.
Can you talk about that?
So the follicle,
Mm-hmm.
based on how your hair is when it grows out, so it's responsible for your texture, the texture of your hair. If you've got straight hair, your
Mm-hmm.
follicles are more circular. If you've got curly hair,
Mm-hmm.
depending on how curly your hair is becoming, your follicle becomes more ovular. So you can guess someone with like 4C hair
Mm-hmm.
has like a follicle this size or something. So when it comes out, the
Mm-hmm.
hair is like tightly coiled.
Right.
So based on how your hair is, you know how your follicles are.
Mm-hmm.
And with more moisture, you have more moisture when your follicles are circular compared to ovular.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Right. I think that's about it in terms of what is hair from
Mhm.
a core structure point
Yeah.
of view. Of course, there are the other elements, the hair shaft and the we were talking about the follicle,
Mm.
the root, and there are more scientific terms like the what do you call it, the epidermis, dermis,
Yeah.
sub, that stuff is more detailed.
Subcutaneous layer.
But we won't really go into all of
Yeah.
that. We just want sort of like the basics,
Yeah.
um, into what understanding what is hair.
Yeah.
So, I think what we will do now is to go straight into the next part. Is
Right.
that okay, or do you want us to stop here?
With the hair growth, we can talk about the stages if we were talking about the follicles of the
Um,
hair. So the hair growth starts in the dermal papilla, so DERMAL, papilla. um, that's like the little bulb that you see when you pull out your hair or when your hair sheds. That little tiny bulb is what you see. That is the dermal papilla. And so
is that what comes out of the root, right
yeah,
at the
yeah,
I think that's the same part. I think I was reading in one of these journals. I'll have to get the the link to that journal.
yeah,
That it's that part that contains the DNA of the hair.
yeah.
And in terms of, let's say, forensics,
Mm,
when they're trying to find out information about a person, they can
yeah,
use that particular hair strand, that one, the one that you pull out from the root,
mm,
to
yeah,
actually get all the information in terms of the DNA of an
mm,
individual,
yeah.
as well as
Health.
when we are looking at
Yeah,
the hair strand test.
yeah,
When we are looking at a hair strand test, hair strand tests are used when we are looking at maybe children with autism, or when people are trying to investigate some of the deficiencies
Yeah.
in the body in terms of the nutrients
Yeah.
that are missing from the body, or in terms of maybe poisoning, like mercury
Mm.
poisoning in the body,
Yeah.
or diet deficits, things that are missing from your diet, like
Yeah.
maybe you don't have enough certain nutrients in your body, or aluminum poisoning in your
Mm.
body. They can use the hair strand test
To
to
see.
find out what is in your body and what is
Yeah.
not you, what your body needs.
Yeah.
And they that way they'll be able to tell you. They can even do the same hair strand test after,
Mm.
when you've now taken the interventions. Like maybe you realize that you have mercury poisoning, and then they
Yeah.
want to do, you go through the processes that
Yeah.
find your body. Then later on they can do the same, the hair strand test again, and
Yeah.
then they'll find that the body, the blood is clearer now. So that way you know that you
Um,
actually, the detox is effective,
oh wow.
or maybe now your the nutrients you're now taking are working, or your
Mm.
body is now having the nutrients it needs. So
Yeah.
the hair is very important because it can tell us a
Yeah.
lot about your health. So
Mm.
what you actually eat, you can actually, it actually goes with your hair. Like, well, let me rephrase that. You are
Yeah.
basically what you eat, and your hair
Yeah.
can actually tell what you eat. So if you
Yeah.
eat healthy, someone can use your hair to actually see how healthy
See.
you are, if that
Yeah.
makes sense, through a hair strand test. Hair
Yeah.
strand tests are used a lot when we are looking at children with autism,
Mm.
or children with other people with deficiencies,
Mm.
different type of deficiencies.
If I can
So
add to that
that's an
quickly,
interesting thing about hair. Huh?
if I
Sorry?
could add to that quickly, just a, like a, if you've noticed somebody who is not too well, or somebody
Uh-huh.
who's, let's say, died,
Uh-huh.
you look at their hair color, and
Uh-huh.
let's say they had a hair color of a brown, a deep brown was like, okay, let's say this hair color. When
Uh-huh.
they die, you see it become more gray.
Uh-huh.
And even when somebody isn't as healthy, if you see your hair is starting to gray, not like gray like due to age,
Mm-hmm.
but starting to unnaturally gray
Mm-hmm.
or unnaturally lose its vibrancy,
Mm-hmm.
then that is an indication that there is something wrong inside. And for real, yeah,
It's interesting actually,
yeah,
because now you're reminding me about stress. Some
yeah,
people, the hair falls off when you're stressed.
yeah,
So hair certainly plays a big role in indicating what's happening
mm,
in the body, even
yeah,
like the stress factors, or
yeah,
when people are going through certain harsh
mm,
treatments like chemotherapy, your hair
yeah,
falls off.
yeah,
So it's really interesting that hair
mm,
says a lot about an individual from a
yeah,
very unique, or that specific person point
yeah,
of view.
yeah.
Very interesting.
It's
Very,
really
very.
interesting, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So there's
so
a lot we need to know, or a lot of information we can find out from
find
here.
out from her, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
what they say,
Uh-huh.
cells are formed and they multiply, and when the cells move up the
Mm-hmm.
follicle, they emerge to the surface of the scalp. So it's actually your inner cells, they're
Uh-huh.
moving to the surface of the scalp, to the dermal papilla, and
Right.
then your hair starts growing. So I think I heard somewhere that hair is an extension of your skin.
Right.
It's like I don't know if it's true. It's like dead skin or something. So it comes from inside, then it goes to the dermal papilla, and then it's pushed out.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I guess your health is definitely seen in your hair as well.
I think we're also going to look at that when we look at hair growth. It
Yeah,
show how hair, the cells from inside actually
yeah,
push their way outward
yeah,
and through the hair strand, forming the hair strand, and the hair
yeah,
grows longer. All that thing, that sort of
yeah,
that area of hair
yeah.
growth.
I
Um,
think that would be good with the diagram if it was possible to do a diagram, but
we
because to
will add.
explain the stages of hair growth and
Uh-huh.
especially like the in-depth with the anagen, catagen, and telogen phases is it's
Right.
a little hard, difficult to explain without a diagram, but I can try. when the hair is growing, before we get to how it grows as well, the hair grows at an average rate of 1.25 centimeters per month, so like half an inch a month. So for that's give or take, not for everybody. Some people it's less, some people it's more. And there are some things you can do to speed it up. For me, I have many different things I actually take, which I've noticed the difference with. Um, yeah, the hair life of one strand of hair can last between 1 and 7 years. So the thing is, a lot of people I've noticed, they believe that, well, 1 in 7 years, your hair might be stay at one length
Mhm.
and it will keep on shedding. But
Mhm.
I don't believe that. I'll have to get in depth with that idea.
We're
But
looking
I
more
don't,
into hair
yeah,
growth.
yeah.
All right. No,
But
that's absolutely fine. That's
yeah.
fine.
So
Um,
hair will grow between 1 and 7 years. It's really how you look after it between the first and the seventh year. Some people's hair only grows one year, and then that's it. Then it goes to the catagen phase, and then telogen it starts shedding. But a lot of people think that their hair does that, but really their hair will probably grow for the 7 years, and they just don't take care of it properly because if you don't understand how your hair is,
Right.
you are not going to give it the proper nutrition that you, and just because it feels good on the outer layer, that's because the cuticle is softened, but the cortex still has a lot of work to do.
Mhm.
And so that's something that can affect your hair growth. And you might think that your hair, the hair life is just short when it's not. It's a long hair life. So you really have to know how to look after your hair. How the hair life works is it grows, it stops, it rests, and it falls out. So
Right.
the growing phase is anagen. I think probably a lot of people may have heard of that when they're looking into hair growth.
Mhm.
That's between 1 and 7 years, the anagen. So each strand grows at a different time than
Mhm.
every other strand. So it doesn't just fall out at the same time and then start growing again. Each
Mhm.
strand grows at a different rate.
Mhm.
Um, the catagen, that's when the hair stops, and that lasts for about 3 to 4 weeks, they say. The bulb separates from the papilla.
Mhm.
The follicle shrinks and moves up to the scalp. And then the telogen phase, which is the resting stage, no cells will be created. It's for 3 to 4 months that this happens. No cells will be created. The connection to the papilla will be restored, and then anagen. Um, there is the shedding phase as well,
Mhm.
but it's more, if I can show you.
Can you? Yeah, please. Oh, it's back. It's the
It's
other way
better.
around, guys. Yeah, yeah.
So, okay. It is basically a cycle. It is a
Okay.
cycle. So
That's
if
like.
you think anagen,
Mhm.
catagen,
Mhm.
telogen, back to anagen, catagen, telogen, anagen,
So
and
it's a
during that
four-year
you had,
cycle.
yeah,
Okay.
during that your hair will fall out, some of it, not all of it, some of it. And that's just normal shedding. But it's
Okay.
more of like a resting stage where your hair just doesn't grow, and that lasts for 3 to 4 months
Okay.
and then reconnects itself, starts again.
Okay.
So yeah, that's
Okay.
the hair cycle for you.
Oh, brilliant. Okay. So is there anything more, or is that for today?
Everyone loses about 50 to 100 hairs per day, roughly. That's
Okay.
without you yanking your hair out, combing it,
Right.
Yeah, that's like natural sheddage. And to be honest, it's not too much. It's not too much. You just don't want to lose more than that. If you're pulling your hair and manipulating it, you just have to be really careful because you start to see thinning, but normal shedding is it's okay. 50 to 100 hairs on average per day per person. Yeah.
Okay. That's good.
All right.
That's fine. Brilliant. Oh, that's great. Thanks for that information. Would you like to add more,
No,
or
it's okay.
is that okay for now?
I think that's okay for now in terms
Okay.
of hair growth and what is hair. If
Uh-huh.
there are any questions, I'm willing to answer any questions that are needed. But
Brilliant.
for now, that is the understanding of what hair is, and
Okay.
then and how it grows, and then going into texture sides, coloring and styling.
Hmm.
Styling you is a necessary thing to know the function of your hair, especially the cortex and the cuticle. Many people, as they only look after the cuticle, they don't understand the cortex is the most important. If you can't care for that, your hair is not going to grow. And when you style it too much, it's just gonna break. It's not really.
Can I go into some random I know it's not on specifically the subject of what is hair, but can I
Yeah,
go into some random questions? These are random questions like what
yeah,
I've just seen on social media and some
yeah.
of the things that people are asking about hair, how they look after the hair. I know we are gonna do a specific topic about
Mm,
chemicals that go what happens when your hair has chemicals or certain
mm,
things, ingredients that touch your hair. What happens
mm.
then? I want to ask about rice water and I want
Right.
to ask about onions because I saw people asking these questions like, oh, my hair had rice water. It was breaking because of rice water. And I know some people, these home remedies. What
Yeah.
some say rice water is good for your hair, but then some come back and say, I tried rice water
And it
and it broke
breaks.
my hair.
Yeah.
And then someone else said onion. I don't know what they do with the onions.
Oh, I've never tried the onion thing. I've never. I'm scared
Okay,
to
I think I
try
should ask them what exactly, how do you use these onions? Because,
it.
yeah.
In terms of onion, I can't really answer too much, but I know there is certain components to the onion that makes the hair grow. They say it feeds the hair. I'm not too sure because the idea of putting onion in my hair has never really been.
I know, I'm
You know,
thinking the same, like, onion,
you know,
like,
it's I hate it when I'm cooking and then I wash my hands and it just doesn't come up. I don't like it, so I wouldn't put it on my But
smell.
yeah, the smell is quite potent. Oh, yeah. And then but in terms of a rice water, I know they say there are components of it. I think it's a strengthening situation. I'm not too sure on the science behind rice water, but I believe that because rice is quite starchy, if you
Mhm.
keep on putting that into your hair, it hardens your hair. It
Okay.
hardens the cortex. So what like a henna, how
Mhm.
henna works, I
Yeah.
feel like that's how similar rice would work too. So it
Okay.
would go into the cortex
Uh-huh.
and it would fill in any missing areas,
Mhm.
any links and bonds that are not connected. It will kind of fill that in. And
Right.
so it will basically thicken up the hair strand and
Okay.
keep on thickening up. So the people, what they don't do is they wash their hair,
Mhm.
they rinse it with rice water or they spray rice water, then they put their leave-in conditioners and everything on top and everything. And if you keep on doing that, hardening and strengthening your hair,
Mhm.
but then you're not putting enough moisture in, your hair is going to
Right.
become like wire and break.
Yes. Yes.
So, in terms of like rice water, I'm not too sure if it should be used every single day as well. I don't think it should be
Mhm.
because it is a strengthener. You don't want to use it every single day.
Mhm.
Um, but if you do, I believe that you should use it on top of a leave-in, not before a leave-in.
A leave-in conditioner.
Yeah. And I would do that once a week, maybe once a week with deep conditioning. Or if you deep condition more, whenever you deep condition, then you put a strengthener in. Because
Mhm.
if you put strengtheners in without moisture, especially
Mhm.
with afro hair, your hair will snap. It will
Mhm.
snap.
Mhm. I think that's something that a lot of people are missing because
Mm.
everyone says, "Oh, if you use this, it's good for your hair. It makes your hair
Mm.
strong," but people don't know
Yeah.
when to stop.
If you've
Or
noticed if you've noticed the tribe, was it the tribe that they say that started using rice water? Their hair was
uh,
straight, was it not?
not sure. I don't know. I'm
I
not
think
sure.
it started somewhere in
The
Asia.
Himba tribe, they use mud,
Yeah.
and they have their hair in these muddy. It's
Mm.
mud, but it's like these locks. But they're
Yeah.
yeah,
But they
the
don't
Himba
touch it.
tribe. Sorry,
They don't touch it.
they don't
Once it's
touch.
in mud, they don't touch
Yeah,
it.
they just yeah, they have it
Yeah.
styled and then they secure it, and
Yeah.
it's like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And with the tribe that did the rice water, they usually braid their hair back, I believe,
Is
and
it
they
an
don't touch
Asian
it.
tribe? Is it an Asian tribe?
I believe so. It's an Asian tribe.
The
Yeah.
one with the long hair when they go in,
Yeah.
wash their hair in the river, and then they do this
Yeah.
whole thing. Oh yeah, I remember that,
Yeah.
but I don't remember the
They
name of the
wouldn't
tribe. Their hair
yeah.
is so long; it's really,
It
really
is really
long.
long. But
Yeah,
it's
I
also
will post
straight.
a picture of them and try to add that on this video as well. I will look.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know the tribe.
You
I've
remember
heard
it.
of that. Yeah.
It's they have straight hair. They would have what you would say one type one hair.
Yeah.
The cute
Yeah.
the follicle, there we go,
Huh?
is like this.
Wow.
So yeah. So that means all the moisture that they have inside the hair will come into the hair and it will spread even lower. So now that they're able to have that natural moisture to keep using rice water. With
Okay.
Afro hair, your hair, the natural oils from your scalp does not go down all the way to the ends of your hair, and it probably would stay here. So now,
That's
when you are not putting moisture in, you're washing your hair,
uh-huh.
spraying strengthening treatments onto
Hmm.
your hair with no moisture, and then you're going
Naturally
to
coming
just
down. Or even
style and touch it and touch it. It's not designed for that.
oh, that's so
Yeah.
interesting. That is that's like that moment.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. That's very
Yeah.
interesting. Wow. Wow.
So
Wow.
whenever I do a henna treatment in my hair, I know people, there's a lot of things about henna, but henna, I believe, is like similar to this rice water. I never ever do it when I'm going to touch my hair. So if I've got a wig on or I've got braids on or something, I put it with the braids. I put it with the cane rose twists. I never ever put it in if I'm going to leave my hair out. Never, because I can feel the difference already. Once you spray it in, it's harder. So
Mhm.
this is the thing when people always do it daily and they touch your hair and then your hair will break. It's inevitable, it will
Wow.
break. Yeah.
Wow. That's really key information right there. Um,
But hydrogen bonds and sulfur bonds,
sulfur bond,
and
that's part of the
yeah,
structure, yeah, of the hair strand. Is that right?
right. Yeah,
Uh-huh. I think
right.
that's an important bit that should go on the hair of hair
Mm,
because I think
yeah,
it's just briefly. You don't have to
just a
repeat
brief
the details.
description.
Yeah, with
So, sorry?
the hydrogen bond.
Oh, hydrogen bonds.
Yeah.
So the hydrogen bonds, they are connected together. They're like links, basically. And whenever you wash your hair, they stretch. So they break, and they break temporarily. Now, when you're styling your hair, they start to rejoin and then they link again.
Okay.
So when you are washing the moment you put water in your hair, any type of liquid substance in your hair, the
Mhm.
hydrogen bonds break.
Mhm.
So that's just a brief explanation of it. But they reset with heat. So you
Okay.
can style it and then they will mold, they will link again, but in a different structure or a different way, like styling curly or straight. Yeah, they'll remold themselves. And then in terms of the sulfide bonds or sulfur bonds, the same thing. Um, they're one of the strongest naturally occurring bonds in nature. So they give strength, they give elasticity, they give color. They are basically broken down by chemicals and pollution. So sometimes you just have to be careful with pollution as well, because your hair could break off different, substances outside. Your hair starts to snap with too much, smoke and stuff. Yeah. Um, how I would do that is how I would remove pollution or stuff from your hair is vitamin C, like the powder. Put it in a bit of water, use it as a treatment, maybe once every 2 weeks or once every week, depending on you. But that can remove that pollution as well. But with the sulfide bonds, um, once you use a chemical, they break down. So if you're thinking, let's say you're going to relax your hair or you're going to color your hair, you're going to bleach it. The sulfide bonds are like this, right? And like an analogy that I used one time was slime. If you see how kids play with slime, you take one ball of slime, grab one end, grab the other end, right? And you stretch it. What happens? It thins out in the middle, right? So that's basically what's happening with the sulfur bonds. And when you are constantly doing this without repairing them or leaving in a chemical for too long, they just stretch and stretch and stretch and stretch and snap. There goes your hair. So these are only broken down by chemicals.
Right.
And water doesn't break down the sulfur bonds.
Right.
Yeah.
That's some more key information.
Yeah.
Okay. Brilliant. Okay.
All right.
I think that will do for today.
For today.
Yeah. Otherwise, we'll take in too much and lose the attention.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for joining for this collab. And if anyone is interested in more details, we are on the Hair Braiding School on Facebook and YouTube, and Afro Hair Matters group on Facebook, and then L is They Shall Dream. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to just inbox, come and join us. Yeah. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you, L.
Yeah.
Bye bye.